Well, hello and welcome to Nova Scotia, and welcome to the optimistic gardener in the kitchen, my newly refurbished kitchen for those of you that have been before, and for those of you that haven't been before, where have you been? So as you can see, those of you that have been here before, I've had a bit of a refurb on the old on the kitchen. Before it was a horrible sort of orangey brown cupboard look with some rather, I don't know, not fetching green paint around the bazaars. So we've given the cupboards a bit of a spruce up. New fan to match it all in, and if you can see down there, I've gone all fancy with some arty palette work. You know me, I like my palettes all along the back of the island. I'm thinking of doing a bit of a splashback behind the cooker with some palettes, etc. Anyway, I've gone off subject here. The point is, newly sort of refurbished kitchen, looking a bit better than usual for my backstage. So we're in September, and I'm doing a series on sort of how can we extend the use of our sort of fresh veg. At this time of year now, we've got lots of veg coming in and a glut of tomatoes, and I've got lots here, lots of late summer veg, etc. I've got, you know, tomatoes in there, carrots, raspberries coming now, autumn fruiting raspberries, usual courgette, zucchinis, cucumbers, green beans, etc. But that'll all soon be over when the frosts come, and we'll be sat in there with all this veg suddenly spoilt and nothing to sort of carry us on through the autumn stroke winter. Now, I'm not exactly an expert in canning, extending my food, etc. But I thought I'd give it a go this year, and I've got a few recipes anyway that I do, even just for sort of short-term sauces, etc. But I'm going to try a bit of canning this year myself, so we'll have a go at that maybe later on in the week. But I thought I'd start off with one of my favourite and easy tomato sauces, pasta sauces to do, which is a roasted tomato, garlic and basil sauce. Really easy, chop everything up, stick it in the oven for a bit, give it a good mix up, Bob's your uncle, beautiful pasta sauce. And I had it on authority from various different people. I've said they absolutely love the sauce, so I thought I'd share it with you. I did it in a bit of a one of my 1 minute lunch video ones, but I thought I'd do a bit more in depth to see you exactly what I'm doing, etc. to make the sauce. So here we go. As you can see, like I showed you, I've got this glut of different fruit and veg there. Just got some apples coming as well. Sweet 16, I don't know if you've ever, any of you ever tried that. Let me know if you have. Absolutely delicious, and been very, as I'm an organic gardener, I'm not putting any spray on there or anything, so very disease resistant, and I haven't got any worms in there at the moment, so absolutely superb. Sweet 16, never been kissed. Loads of tomatoes coming at the moment, and one of the problems that I have at the moment, we've got quite a bit of rain coming in here and there, is just as everything is becoming ripe, suddenly we've got the rain firing itself down, and the old problem with the tomatoes of, where have we got one here? Say this one here, it's a bit of a bad version of it, of it's suddenly bursting with the water coming from the rain, and the skin not growing and can't handle that burst of liquid coming in and splitting. So, you know, I've got lots of, especially my small tomatoes, splitting at this, you know, this last couple of weeks where we had a little bit of dry weather and we had sudden rain again, and exactly that's what happens. But you know, you don't have to get rid of them. You may not want to be sort of keeping them in the fridge, etc. But I'm putting all sorts of tomatoes in my sauces. It doesn't have to be, you know, what your usual San Marzano Roma type tomatoes, which obviously are good for sauces, pastes, etc. Doesn't have to. I just bung all sorts in. I've got some lovely black Krim tomatoes here. and they suffer from splitting as well. So I'm going to bung a few of them in, etc. Lots of nice fresh basil. A nice garlic that I harvested, what was it, it's a couple of months ago nearly now, 6 weeks ago. So one whole one whole bulb of garlic. I also like to put in a bit of parsley as well, and obviously some salt and pepper and some olive oil. Nearly forgot those. I'm loving the new colour on the cupboards and the walls, etc. My friend Joe, who's over here from the UK, he painted it all up for me. Mrs F's absolutely loving it, so that's always good, keeping Mrs F happy. So let's make a start, shall we? So what I'm going to do is I am going to basically just chop the tomatoes up. Doesn't have to be too much. I've just put them in quarters. Little tomatoes, the tiny tomatoes, you don't even need to cut them up at all. But the bigger ones, I'm just going to put them in quarters. Nice and simple. And this is a really good sauce, this. You can have it just on a bit of pasta. You can add it to your spaghetti bolognese, add it with a nice bit of chicken, flavours all sorts of your Italian type dishes. Absolutely delicious. So I'm going to chop up the rest of these tomatoes, and then I shall come back and see what we're going to do next. Right, there you go. I have basically filled this normal size roasting dish with tomatoes. Basically, mostly San Marzano, but some of the different, some black crim in there. I think some tiny Tim, lots of different small onions, small tomatoes. So lots of different tomatoes anyway. So that's all that done. Next, I'm going to take a sort of a good large handful of basil, and then I'm going to pick the leaves, and then I'm going to take a small handful of parsley, pick those leaves and chop them all up and bung that in as well. So I'm going to do that now. Let me pick the leaves and then I'll come back to you. So I'll give these a chop up. Then it's only going to be roughly chopped, because once I've cooked it all up, I'm going to put it through the blender anyway. It's very sad coming towards the end of the summer and the sort of real large amounts of fresh basil. You know, you can get your fresh basil or a basil plant growing over the winter, but you know, nothing is like the summer with basil every day and lots of fresh pesto, etc. And if you haven't tried my pesto recipe, it's up there in the corner there now for you to have a look at, peruse at a later date. Right, so that is the basil. Like I said, a good handful. Don't be shy with the basil, because that's obviously going to give us one of our big major flavours of the sauce. That's that. Let's get the parsley in. And parsley, nice. I just like putting parsley in just about everything, because that just gives it a little bit of that extras, takes it over the edge on the zing front. Nice bit of parsley in there. Same as I always put a bit of parsley in the burgers when I'm making burgers as well. Always gives it that little bit extra. So there we go, nice bit of parsley, beautiful. Nearly done. This is so simple as to be ridiculous, this. Right, whole bowl of garlic. So we're going to open this up. Here we are. Excuse the grimacing. Right, so you probably know this, but here's a little tip. You know when you're chopping up garlic and crushing it, etc., it all sticks to the knife. So, if you just run it under a cold tap before you use it, I'm hoping this is going to work now. It shouldn't stick to the knife. Let's just have a little go of that. So not too bad, et voila. So let's chop this garlic bulb up. Again, just roughly. It's all going to transfer its flavour into the dish, and we can get it nice and chopped in the blender afterwards. So I've got a similar nice, near enough exactly the same recipe with coriander, or cilantro as you call it here in North America, as I keep saying. Oops, excuse me. Some chilies and salt and pepper again. No garlic in this one, although I think I put a clove, 2 cloves of garlic in that, but 4 or 5 chilies in there, not too hot or too hot, whichever you like. A nice good big handful of the coriander. Same olive oil in there as well, and cook exactly the same cooking time I'm going to tell you. Comes out absolutely delicious as well. That's Mrs. F's favourite. She likes a bit of heat in her cooking. Right. Don't want to waste any of this beautiful fresh garlic. Let's get it off the side there. What else? Just wash my hands. Right. We are just about there. Let's move this to the side. Right, let's have some salt. A good bit of seasoning. Don't be shy on your seasoning. A bit of pepper. And teaspoon of sugar, just to take the acidity out just a little bit. And then a good glug of olive oil. That'll do. Give it a good mix up. Nice, look at that. Smells delicious already, and it's not even gone in the oven. Right, I'm going to stick this in the oven, preheated oven to 400 degrees centigrade, Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit, isn't it? Yes, Fahrenheit. And we're going to stick that in there for about an hour and a half. let all of those juices cook down. Oh, absolutely delicious. Right, an hour and a half, 400. Right, we're going to tidy up, then we'll come back and finish it off. Beautiful. You should. Oh, again, I wish we had sort of, is it Willy Wonka, smell-o-vision, or whatever it is. Absolutely smells delicious. Right, so as you can see, it's nicely cooked down, the tomatoes, looking good. So what I'm going to do is, you can put these in a mixer, or should I say blender, whatever. I've got this, I'm going to use this gizmo. I always find that that works just as well. I'm going to tip all my stuff into a bowl. So let me do this, hopefully not make too much mess. Whoa. There we go. I want to get all of the juices in, all of the garlic. Don't waste a drop here. Precious, been growing this all year. When did we start the tomatoes? I think I started them in early March. So a long time ago, and obviously the garlic was started last October. Or maybe November. I think it was a couple of weeks after my operation, because I sneaked out of the house while Mrs. F weren't watching. Excuse me, and planted some garlic. Right, okay, so that's all in there. Let's give this a whiz round. And this will have it all knocked down in no time. So you can, you know, blend it down to as fine or as chunky as you like, but we want to give it a bit of a blend, because obviously we just want to make sure all of the different tastes, oh la la, are mixed in together. There we are. That is it. That'll do me, my son. Oh, excuse me. Right, let's get a spoon. So as you can see, I've mixed that down nice and fine now. Oh yeah, absolutely delicious. And that sauce now is fine on its own with some pasta, like I said, or tonight I'm going to cook myself off, saute a nice bit of chicken with some mushrooms, maybe some onions as well, and put this over, warm this up, put this over the chicken as a nice sauce with a bit of pasta. Absolutely delicious. So I'm also going to bottle a load of this up for the future. I'm going to let it cool down first, and then I'm going to can it up. And I'm thinking, like I said, I'm not the expert at canning, but I might as well do a have a go show, shall I? Have a go. So then I've already done one bottle of the coriander and tomato mix that I did. Here's another one now, and then tomorrow I'm going to make a chutney, a tomato, a sort of Indian type chutney that will last again over time. Absolutely delicious, nice and tart with your Indian meats, or any sort of Indian dish, or any sort of dish actually. Goes well with cheese, etc. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. So tune in. And also, without actually doing the full canning routine, just putting it in a jar, you know, a nice sterilised jar, stick it in the fridge. That will last a good few weeks, no problems at all. So you can have pasta sauce every day for a couple of weeks. Beautiful. Oh, and the other thing is I'll freeze it as well. So put it in a plastic jug and I'll stick it in the freezer. And then again, that's going to last quite a few months. So lots of different ways to keep this sauce and to extend your beautiful tomato taste of the summer into the autumn time. Job's a good one.